Hello again, everyone. Eric Pearson here. Hope you're all doing well. Today I'm going to show you Iron Nest. This is a very engaging artillery simulator with a serious diesel punk aesthetic. So here's the situation. It's 1927, and in the Castile region of Spain, we are an operator of a gigantic 5,000-ton mobile artillery platform known as Iron Nest. And we're standing in it right now, so let's take a look around. We're on the lower deck with the living section, but if we look up, we can see the vastness of what we are standing in here. We have two gigantic artillery cannons here, left and right. You can see the toothed gear on the turret ring. And then if we turn around and turn on this light, we have a basic bunk and wardrobe. Over here we have a desk with a coffee machine. Moving along, we have a basic bathroom, got a shower, commode, sink. Then here we have an efficiency kitchenette. So the Kingdom of Castile has spared no expense making sure that our basic needs are met. And then finally we have a map of Spain and the Castile region. So, alright, so let's go upstairs and see what today's mission is going to be. So up we go. Open the hatch. Close it behind us for safety. And so here we are on the battle deck. So there's a lot of different stations, and I'll be showing all of them to you in due time. But the first thing we need to do is take a look at the reports from the teleprinters. The one on the right carries orders from High Command. The one on the left carries orders from field reports. So let's see what we have today. Okay, High Command to Iron Nest. The operation has entered its active phase. Note, restore master power switch to on before proceeding. Enemy forces have deployed artillery across the river in response to recent activity. This was anticipated. Prioritize elimination of all identified artillery assets. Destroy what remains in detail. Be prepared. Counter battery timer will commence once first shell lands. And what that means is the moment our first shot lands, the enemies are going to try and range us and fire back. And then finally we have some coordinates for Iron Nest and 3 spotters in the field. Now the good news is we don't have to really write this down. We have an in-game clipboard that will do it for us. So I can put my cursor on one listing here. You can see we have our coordinates here. Now let's go over to the field report and get some clues as to where our targets are. So we have bearings from the various spotters on our 3 targets. And what we're going to do is use the map table here and plot our firing solutions. Now I know that they said the master power should be turned to on, but curiously that just puts us on red lighting. It's not as easy to see what's going on, so I'm going to turn that. That's a little better. Okay. To my knowledge, I don't think there's any consequence for having the lights on like this. Alright, so let's look at our map table. And if you zoom in close, you can see from the token that the Iron Nest heavily resembles the spider tank from Ghost in the Shell, if you're familiar. Alright, so Iron Nest is at India 6, coordinates 5-3. Now we have to place our spotters using these tokens here. So spotter number 1 is at Quebec 10, 1 and 6. Here. Artillery 2, I'm sorry, spotter 2 is at Kilo 5. Zero 3. There. Spotter number 3 is at Kilo 1. And 6-7. Alright, so we know where we are, we know where the spotters are. Now we have to start tracing lines with our yellow pencil to see if we can find where the targets are. Now, I want to look here. This is the river, and we were told by High Command that all of our targets are going to be on the other side of the river from us, so that makes it easier for us to narrow down where the enemies are. Okay, so let's take a look here. Let's bring up our yellow pencil. Spotter, it says Artillery 1, bearing 161 from spotter number 1. So 161 right here. This is where a trackball comes in handy. And then bearing 088 from spotter number 2. So 088, so that's eastward. So 088. Okay, so at the intersection of those two lines, we're going to place a token. So let's move in. There. Alright. I can right-click these lines to remove them. There's a switch on the far side of the map board that lets me do that. Okay. Artillery number 2, bearing 196 from spotter number 1. So bearing 196. So I'm going to zoom out with the mouse wheel. 196. Oops. That was a mistake. Let's try that again. Alright, one more time. Alright, bearing 196. And then 061 from spotter number 3. So 061. Up. I need not to use the pad while I'm using the mouse at the same time. So 061. Okay, we have an intersection point there. So let's grab artillery token number 2. Move that in. Put it right there. Alright. Now let's move over to here and use this switch to delete the map measurements. Alright, artillery number 3, they're not giving us bearings. What they're giving us instead is distances. So we're going to use the compass. So get in close. Alright. 11.09 kilometers from spotter number 3. That's a long ways away. 11.09. So I have to really angle myself. 11.09. There. And 3.83 kilometers from spotter 1. So, not quite. Let's... Hang on a second. Spotter 1 was Q10, 1, and 6. Alright, almost messed that up there. Alright. 3.8. Takes a little doing here. I want to get this right. Let's move the token here and then put here. Alright, that's good enough. Alright, 3.83 from here. So 3.83. Okay, so our two circles intersect here. So let's get our third artillery token in place. Alright. Right about there. Okay, good. Alright, so now that we know where our first 3 targets are, we're going to use the red pencil and we're going to draw red lines from Iron Nest, and that will give us our bearing and range to feed into the ballistic calculator. Alright, so I'm going to start here. So this is target number 3. Put a line here. And notice as soon as I do that, in the bearing and range section of the clipboard, we have something listed. Alright, now let's trace for the next one. Start here. This is going to be our next target. And then one more time, drawing over to here. Alright, so we have 3 targets, roughly between 6 and 12 kilometers away. And we'll keep this in mind as we plot our firing solutions using the ballistic calculator. Okay. Now, before we feed things into the ballistic calculator, I want to order from some shells from the requisition station. So we're going to do that right now. So this is the requisition station. We have 200 credits, and we're going to select the card for the HE shell, put it on the card slot, and then pull this lever. And we're going to do it 6 times because we have 6 slots in the magazine. Okay, that's full up for the left. Let's do the right. I believe that's it. Nope, one more. Okay, I think we're in good shape here. Alright. Now it's time to use the ballistic calculator to get the elevation of our cannons. So first thing we want to do is set our target type. This is artillery, so we have this. We have to set our shell type. We're using high explosive, or HE. There's that. Alright. Now, one rule for the number of powder charges is that it is 5 kilometers for every powder charge. So the first one is going to be 3 powder charges because it's between 10 and 15. We're going to set a bearing of 78.4 degrees. So 78, then make a little adjustment, 78.4 degrees on a distance of 11.05 kilometers. Okay, 11.05 kilometers, 3 charges, 78.4 degrees, pull the handle. Alright, so that's our first firing solution. Alright, the second one is a bearing of 94.3. .3 degrees on a distance of 9.36. That's less than 10. So we're going to set us down to 2 powder charges. Pull the handle. That's our second firing solution. Now the next one, bearing of 115.6. Oh. 115.6 on a distance of 6.19. 2 powder charges, and compute. Okay, so these are our 3 firing solutions. Alright, so this is going to be a long mission, so I'm going to say that this is a good place to stop. So thank you very much, and join me for my next video in which we load the cannons and fire. Eric Pearson, signing off.